That one was ugly. Let's go to the film room quickly. First of all, folks, Scottie Barnes is back and getting back to business. Here he is off a dribble handoff, attacking, taking the bump, and finishing in traffic. Very next possession, comes down, pseudo transition, pulls up in a mid-range jumper. His jump shot's looking good, by the way, folks, at least from mid-range. He was 0-5 from the three-point line, but the mid-range jump shot looks pretty good. This is the Scotty we know, in transition, beautiful feed to Jakob for the finish. And this is the mid-range jump shot I was talking about. Just settles into it over the extended arm of Alex Sarr. I thought that was really great. And look, obviously this is Scotty's first game back in 7 months. Ultimately, that's going to be the vibe, you know. He's still working out some of the kinks. I thought he looked better defensively in the second half, jumping out in passing lanes, being more active at the point of attack, and doing things Scotty has done in the past. But admittedly, obviously his first game back in 7 months, so still working through the kinks of a few things. The jumper from the three-point line wasn't there tonight. We'll see if that bounces back. That's obviously a question. But I thought outside of Scotty and his return, Davon Mitchell was excellent tonight as well. He made his presence known almost immediately, just picking up full court, bothering Jordan Poole. You see, look, now the Wizards start their action at 15 seconds. Same thing here, just great job staying connected to Bilal Coulibaly. Again, forces the turnover here because of the dig and the bad pass by Kuzma. Darko Rajakovic was mentioning how he needs Davon to be more attentive off ball. I thought he was excellent here. Great job digging on that Kuzma drive again, and it forces the turnover. Raptors are out and running. But this is what really intrigued me about Davon today. The playmaking in the pick and roll, finding guys, not only just the roller, but finding the skip pass, finding the secondary pass. This was impressive from him tonight. Here he is, rejects the screen, shows patience, finds Bruno Fernando in the short roll. Next play is a pick and roll with Carlson. Nice skip pass to Chris Boucher in the corner for the three. Beautiful pass there. This time he breaks down Bub Carrington off the dribble, beats his man, draws the attention of the defense, and finds Carlson, but Carlson fumbles the ball. It's still a great play, though. Here, pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl. Watch him use Poeltl and that Gortat screen to finish through traffic. This is something that I think the Raptors will lean on more with their smaller guards in a Jamal Shad, in a DJ Carton, and a Davon Mitchell. And Emmanuel Quickley. Great chemistry here with Chris Boucher, the connection. Boucher slips, rolls to the basket. Great find by Davon. Great connection with Jakob. Jakob unfortunately steps out of bounds and fumbles the ball, but again, a good pass by Davon. I also like this read from Davon. So he first goes into a pick and roll with Boucher, and then with Jakob, the pick and roll, gets downhill, recognizes the back screen Scotty is setting for Grady Dick, and he finds it. And folks, honestly, I would love to do a compilation of Chris Boucher's 22 points, but some of it got highlighted there in that Davon Mitchell highlight. I thought Davon did a great job of setting up some of his teammates, doing a good job of just like churning the offense, especially when you're missing a bunch of guys, is a difficult task. And I think giving Davon the credit for that is important, because ultimately he's going to be tasked with doing that with the second unit. He's going to be the main bench guy for them, facilitating, running the second unit, so to speak. And so that's important. That being said, what an ugly game. I mean, an atrocious basketball game, even for preseason standards, y'all. It was, I believe I had it in the tweets. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but it was like 25 fouls and 24 turnovers in the first half. That is absurd levels of ugly basketball, okay? And I know it's the Raptors. I know it's the Washington Wizards. Both teams rebuilding. Raptors missing a bunch of guys for injury. No Kelly Olynyk, no Emmanuel Quickley, no RJ Barrett, no Garrett Temple, no Bruce Brown, right? But boy, was that ugly. I mean, so the broadcast mentioned this, but the first half took an hour and a half. It took 1.5 hours. I watch a lot of basketball games, y'all. I watch a lot of basketball games. Max, a half will take an hour, okay? It's usually 45 minutes with stoppage and all that type of stuff. An hour and a half is absurd. It's just absurd. Anyways, regardless, look, it's still preseason. refs are still figuring things out. There's obviously this whole rule change, and we're going to play tough basketball this season. We'll see how much they actually carry that over and how much that carries over through the rest of the season. But ultimately, from the Raptors side of things, outside of Davion, which I just mentioned, I'm really impressed with the playmaking, the defensive chops that he's showing at the point of attack. I thought Jamal Shed was better than him in the first game. I think in this game, Davion was better than Jamal Shed. Shooting is obviously going to be the swing factor for both of those guys. They didn't make any of their outside shots today. And I think ultimately that's going to be a huge part of them carving out even a bigger role in the Raptors rotation as the Raptors get healthy. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if Davion starts hitting his catch and shoot jumpers. We'll see if Jamal Shed starts hitting his catch and shoot jumpers. Jamal took a few today. They looked good, didn't seem like he had some crazy awkward jumper, but they just didn't fall. So we'll see if that goes through. We'll see if that translates. I think Scotty, Sampson also wrote this in his article, but I do think he was overextended in certain limits. That being said, this is a guy who obviously was missing everybody in this lineup. No RJ, no Quickly. And so he's trying to do a bit of everything here. But ultimately, I was kind of curious to see how he was going to be able to get downhill and get to the basket more. He went to that post up a few times. The post up turned into either free throws or maybe he fumbled the ball a little bit. It didn't seem like he was fully in rhythm. That being said, what a start at the beginning of the game. The jumper, that was nice. Finishing through traffic was nice. The beautiful pass to Pirtle in transition. That's the Scottie Barnes that we know, right? And so I'm curious to see how he progresses as this preseason progresses and as we see throughout the year, because look, it's year 4 for Scotty. He's going to have to add different wrinkles to his game and fine-tune the certain areas that we expect him to. I think it'll look a lot better once he has better players around him, ultimately. But for the most part, I thought Scotty played a pretty good game. And it was his return after 7 months of basketball. So I'm not surprised that there was still some rhythm things, especially because he missed training camp, right? He didn't really get a chance to play with the guys. Rhythm is all about being in a mode. I just got back to playing basketball recently, and I know all about rhythm, folks, and I'm not in the NBA, so it's a different story. You know what I mean? Outside of that, I want to talk about Jonathan Mogbo. As you guys know, I interviewed him in August. Really, really nice guy. Has a good head on his shoulders for whatever that's worth. I think he has a place in the NBA just from a physicality standpoint, from an ability to kind of make reads, make decisions. That being said, I think right now the game is a little bit too fast for him. And some of those decisions, some of those reads that you can see he wants to make, he's making them a step too slow. The physicality, he was such a strong finisher in college. That same advantage isn't necessarily there here in the NBA. And so you're seeing him struggle to carve out an advantage against players in the league. I thought he did a much better job in the fourth quarter when he was playing against G League competition. And so I imagine that Mogbo will get run with the Raptors because they need, extra size and length and physicality on the wings. And I think he fills a need for this current Raptors team. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if he does see some run with the 905 in order to learn these things, right? To get the pace of the game, get adjusted to the pace of the game more often. I think one of the things that we miss in the whole development thing is you kind of need to take those steps before you look the way you do or look the way you're expected to at the, your final product. Not saying that Mogbo, we're expecting him to be a final product or anything, but ultimately you want him to get to the point where he can be a positive impact player for this Raptors team, hopefully by the end of the year. And so I think that could be accelerated with some time with the Raptors 905. I think Mogbo is a really interesting player because you can see that he's trying to process some of the reads that he's making or has made in college. And those reads are there. It's just that he's making them a step slow. And I think it's more of a pace of the game type situation where he has to get adjusted to it. And I have someone in my Twitter who every time I'd mention Mogbo is like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey man, Rome was not built in a day. All right. You got to be able to develop brick by brick, literally brick by brick, kind of set the foundations. And obviously some of the offensive finishing needs to get better. Some of the craft around the basket needs to get better. I think some of those things could get better in the G League. And so we'll see. We'll see if Mogbo will end up spending some time in the G. We got like a month, over a month until the G League starts anyways. So he will get some run here, extended run at least with the Raptors for the most part. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Look, preseason, Thanksgiving is on the way. I will not have a recap for the Celtics game, but I've got a video essay on Vince Carter coming. So be on the lookout for that. Stay tuned for that. Appreciate you guys as always. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel if you guys can. Like this video if you guys can. And I'll see you guys for the rest of the season. Peace out.